Hey there, everybody, it's Wayne D. Welcome to the website. It's WayneD.com. This is Ramona Botha. He's from South Africa. He is a PGA apprentice trying to get his PGA card, and in doing so, he has to pass the player ability test. So in the player ability test, you have to, in general, shoot 78 twice in one day. And now they've made it a little easier, so you don't have to shoot it in one day. You can shoot one good score and add that up to your second one. So they're not trying to dissuade people from being PGA professionals, especially youngsters like Ramona. Now, he's from South Africa. He's got visa issues. He hasn't been able to apply to get his PGA to get into the program yet, but he's getting that taken care of, and now his concern is he needs to be able to shoot better scores. So this is just the type of thing that is so gratifying for me to be able to help somebody like him. Look at the body. He's like 5'7", maybe weighs 130 pounds, but it's one of these zero body fat things. It reminds me when I was a college player, I weighed 140 pounds, and I was at most 5'8", and so this is me. So now I'm trying to figure out, with a nice little motion like this, why isn't this working out better? So the first thing I notice right away is the posture is erect, and it appears to be back in the heels, so there's no effort to be out over the ball or on the balls of the feet. So when we watch the takeaway, it pretty naturally moves away from him. Swing gets a little long, and then his right arm, because of the setup, has no space. So you can see it looks like he's got good sequence, but he has a tendency to block the ball way right, and the driver gets really bad, and also hits some snipes. So when you got the thing going left and right off the tee, it's pretty hard to shoot good scores. But it's pretty obvious just watching the regular speed swing that given some better mechanics, he's going to be able to hit the ball much better. All right, so here's what we did. So the first thing I wanted to do was give him a routine to set into the ball and add some tilt in the pelvis. Try to feel more athletic on the balls of the feet, more space for the right arm. So I have him stepping in right foot first. If you watch the website, you've seen this before. And then we're going to go feet together, and then left, right to spread out. So you can see here the huge difference, but the one on the left is going to look way more like what the best players look like. Now we're going to do from here, I want to see what happens, so I'm not suggesting any swing changes. I want to do the posture and do a stop and go and see where he takes it and what happens. So I move the ball and say, look, let's just go here and take a up to the top, hold it, and then swing forward. So let's take a look. So a lot of things that you do with a swing right at first is to make the simple change and see what happens. So what are the instincts? So let's watch that first move down, and we go up here. This is the original. So we can see right away he has naturally shallowed the club. Now he hasn't moved his right arm in front of him as much as I might like to see, but certainly the shaft is way shallower. So look how jammed he is here. So when he was set up, I got into his stance and found myself wanting to, if I got into his feet, so that's what I do. I like to mark where his feet are. I step in, and then I'll put the club where I like to have it, where I would figure the ball was, and it's going to be out here. So being so jammed in there, when he comes down, his right arm just gets behind his side, and as he comes through, he just doesn't have any space. So at times the club will get stuck. He'll hit it to the right, flip it over. So you can see from a setup where he's got some space, his right arm can, even if he's not trying, it'll get more in front of him here. And the release has much more freedom and more arc around. So again, here's the step in. So compare that to that. So a huge difference. And right away I just knew that was gonna be a big deal. So here's the setup procedure. Now even when he did this, he's got to be careful because the ball, when he started, was too far back. So his perception of where the ball is centered is off. Now he tends to hit the ball fat, so you would suspect that he would be more liable to hit from back in his stance. So you can see here I have him sort of shimmy back to the balls now in the middle. Still want it a little more forward. So here's the backswing. So what we talked about was in the stop and go was trying to get the from the posture, was trying to get some width in the swing so that we could start moving the right arm more inward. So the right arm, because he was so jammed up, was tending to get way behind his side. So we talked about how the right arm functions, and we talked about supination, external rotation, and adduction. So in the backswing, he's trying to keep the upper right arm more in front of him and not let it swing around behind him. So you've seen this a million times. We don't want that right arm swinging around behind him. We want it to stay in front of him a little more. But physically, with a body like this, which is totally thin and no body fat, and this is a guy that can do what he's told fairly easily. And you can also see when he does the stop and go that his natural instinct is to sequence the thing correctly. So I know that here's a kid that's been shooting in the 80s, and there's no way he's going to, with a little help, he's not going to shoot in the 80s. He's actually going to be very good. So look at the natural hand path here. We talked about how in a stop and go, the lower body is going to lead the downswing, and that's going to move the left arm. So that club, look how good that hand path is, and he's also got a natural instinct to delay the club. So there's a bunch of stuff here that you don't have to overwork. Just have to give it a chance. So when you look at that motion here compared to what he was doing when he was standing straight up and down, and getting stuck behind himself. So if you look at that, it's a huge difference, and most of that is just working on posture and balance and giving him a chance. Now, we did have a discussion about the right arm movement, so that gets a little more technique oriented, but the thrust of this is starting off with a good setup. So here's a couple of driver swings that we did. And here's the way I like to have everybody step in. So right foot first, bring the left over. So we're establishing the tilt in the pelvis early and the distance from the ball by staying away from the ball and bringing the right foot in first. Now we're going to spread out. So one thing to remember here, what I told him when he first started this, when we first did this, he stressed, in order to get the posture to be more out over it, he started to stress his lower back. Got to make sure that you relax the lower back muscles and don't try to pinch them in toward the middle. So once he felt like he could relax the lower part of his back, he felt much better. But look at all the space he's got, and watch how cool this is when it goes back. He's got great instincts to get the club up the plane. Shoulder turns a little flat, but you can't work on everything at the same time. But look how nicely this club returns now that it's got room. So all of a sudden he's hitting lower balls that are starting slightly left and cutting back. Which for Ramona was a huge change. Just watching the driver hit the ball and start off on a line that's close to where he wanted it. But again, look how with the body type, look how easy it is for him to just turn it back and get the right arm back in front of him. So this is a great looking position there. So this is a kid's going to go from shooting in the 80s to shooting in the low 70s in like no time. So again, for me, this is like the most gratifying type of lesson to take somebody that loves the game, is trying desperately to play good enough to qualify to even be a pro. And if I can help him, I'm feeling pretty good.